Welcome in, everybody. We are back here, another In the Box with another FM content creator, but so much more, so much more. We have SiMaggio with us, currently doing an FM save with Palermo, and also GeoGuesser, competitor, not just player, competitor. Didn't even know that was a thing, but I caught a bit of it, and there was Si playing along, doing his bit, and knowing random places all over the world. So, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I honestly, I don't know how I've ended up becoming a GeoGuesser competitor and being actually not too bad at the game. I mean, it's not the kind of thing I thought I'd ever be particularly good at. I thought that's the kind of thing, you know, someone who, like a Rain Man, and he just goes, "Oh, these are the coordinates of where you are. I recognise that plant."
Yeah.
But somehow I've made it into the. I mean, I'm not. There's some people a lot better than me, but I've made it into being a reasonable competitor at the game, because there are little clues, and it's kind of like a mystery thing. You can put them together and, you know, work out where you are based on little clues. And we're probably not here to talk about that. We're probably here to talk about football. But
mate, it's just, do you know what? It's an interesting thing. I think I joined in one of yours after one of the FM drafts, and we were doing the football stadiums, and I was quite good with that. I've done so many other ones, and people start talking about the shapes of the cloud and the cloud coverage. I'm like, mate.
Oh yeah, that's too much for me even.
Yeah, if it's cloudy, I guess it's England, and if there's no clouds, I'm guessing somewhere sunny.
A lot of them know all the bollards in every country. Like, they know what, if they see a bollard, they're like, "Oh, I know what country this is." I can't do it because all the bollards look the same to me. Not just because they look like bollards, but also the colours, because they're different colours. But being colourblind, I'm like, no, I can't see the difference between them.
Probably, yeah, that's not ideal, is it? No. I mean, I couldn't tell the difference, even if I could see the different colours. I just think, you know what, someone's vandalised that one and painted it a different colour.
Yeah.
Guys and girls, we are here, obviously in the box with, it's the standard 5 questions asked to everyone with different answers every time, which is, why we keep it. So we will start with a question 1, because it seems like the most obvious place to start. Si, what was your first real memory of football?
Now, I've seen your second question as well, so I'm going to ruin it a little bit here, because it's actually the answer to both.
That's cool.
And I remember being, I don't know how old I must have been, 5 or 4 or 5. I'd probably seen football before this, but 4 or 5, and I was at a parent's friend's house, and they had the telly on, and it was like, to me now, it seems like it was a really big TV, but it wouldn't have been, would it? It would have been probably just felt like a big TV. Like, the sides were probably massive, and it's just a little screen in the middle. It was just bigger than my 5-inch screen or whatever we had at home. In fact, I think we still had we did have a black and white screen up until about 1996 in one of the rooms. So it was the World Cup in 1990. It was either the World Cup in 1994 or the Euros in 92. I imagine it was the World Cup in 94.
Yeah.
And it was either Sweden, Cameroon. It was 2 brightly coloured teams. So it was either Romania. There was Sweden, Cameroon, and there was Romania, someone else. And that's all I remember, right? Yeah. That's what I remember, is that this game was on at my friend's house. I didn't understand, or my parents' friend's house. I didn't understand the concept of the World Cup. I didn't, I was sort of about the age where I was learning about different countries. So I was like fascinated by it. I was like, what is going on? Why are these countries playing each other? Why are they wearing brightly coloured? Why did they play in yellow or whatever? If it was Sweden or Romania or whoever. There was another yellow team.
Colombia.
The other yellow? Oh, Colombia. Yeah, it might have been Colombia or Romania. They did play in 94. So yeah, that was my first memory, and that's the first international tournament I remember. And then probably between then and 90, because by the time 1996 comes around, so I'm really into Euro 96. I mean, it was in the UK, so you couldn't really miss it by that point. I was a year or 2 older, so I was sort of more interested in football and less interested in smashing around Lego bricks. Although actually, no, you never get too old for that.
There's Lego all around me, man.
I've got some here somewhere. Actually, I got one of my face masks. There's some Lego on that. You're never too old for Lego. But yeah, so by the time 1996 rolls around, I'm proper into my football, and I've got the sticker album. You know, I've got the. You used to go Sainsbury's and get the coins.
Yeah.
And I found them recently. I can't remember if I found the 96 ones or the 98 ones recently, but you used to get the coins with all the England players on them. They had the England badge on one side and they had the player on the back. I think I've got some 96 ones because they got Gascoigne and stuff on them.
Yes.
So I remember you used to collect those, and you used to try and get like a big folder, stick them all in these silver coins. They were quite cool.
It could have been the 98 World Cup still though, because I know Sainsbury's released them before the squads were announced. So Gascoigne was in there and then obviously didn't get picked.
Maybe then. Yeah. I think I've got them in a box around there somewhere. You did say just before, like, get people getting all their memorabilia out and stuff. I'm not going to start rooting through boxes. Just give me an hour while I look for it in the bottom of this box, hidden under some Tazos and some Pogs.
Oh, good old Pogs, yeah.
I think they're in the same box with the Tazos and the Pogs. So yeah, I mean, it was that kind of thing where you'd get stuff out of cereal packets, or you get stuff out of crisp packets. And anything like, there'd always be something football related every time the football rolled around. Yeah. And so that was those are sort of my first memories of watching football or experiencing football as a fan. And my first club wasn't actually the club I support now, which, I mean, you can probably guess from the shirt, is Portsmouth. Yeah. I always had something for Portsmouth in the back, but they were like a Division 1 team. What is now the Championship. Yeah. And when you're a kid, like none of your friends are supporting Division 1 teams. Even if you live close to Portsmouth, none of your friends are supporting Division 1 teams, unless you live in Portsmouth. They're all like Man United fans, it's like the first club you hear of, right? Ask your dad, who. My dad wasn't a Portsmouth fan. He actually was a Southampton fan, unfortunately. But you ask your dad, you say, Dad, who should I support, right? And he was into football, but he was never like, he wasn't passionate about Southampton. Yeah. So he said, support a good team. And I think he convinced me to support. He's like, well, what player do you like? And I said, Alan Shearer. Obviously, Alan Shearer around between 94 and 96. Yeah. And and I think I had a football book, which had Alan Shearer on the front. It was like the 100 greatest footballers of all time or something. And Alan Shearer was on the front. This might have been a bit later, but I might have got that afterwards, in fact. But I remember having that book because he was in the Newcastle kit, so that must have been a bit later. Yeah. But I think I was thinking of supporting Blackburn, and then he moved to Newcastle in 1995, 1996. Yeah. So then Newcastle, I was a Newcastle fan for around a season in the Premier League. And I had the kit with the Newquay Brownell.
The big badge, Yeah,
that's it. That was a great kit. And I think I liked the fact that they played in black and white. That seemed quite cool to me. Yeah. Not on black and white telly. just the black and white stripes. We'd probably got rid of the black and white telly by then, I'd hope. And everyone else was supporting Man United, and I don't think I liked red. Like, what kids are like. You're like, oh, I don't like the color red. I don't want to support Man United. I don't want to support Liverpool. So it was Newcastle for a season, and then I sort of realised I should probably support my local team because that's the thing you do. And, we switched around to Portsmouth. I had a thing for Newcastle. I sort of dual supported them for a while. Yeah. But yeah, that's where the early football memories come from in terms of who I support.
Cool. I mean, it's the same sort of thing for me. I mean, I've sort of said before, obviously Reading supporter, lived in Reading, grew up in Reading, left when I was 21. But as you say, kids don't support a Division 2 team or a Division 1 team. They may go and support them at the ground, but when they're asked, they don't support them. So the team I always sort of supported as a kid was Villa. First ever live game I remember seeing on TV, and they absolutely humped Everton. So it's always a good start. If a team scores 6 goals on TV and it's the fact you remember it.
Yeah, that's what you want to. You think this is a good team. I want to support these.
Yeah, and I mean it's kind of panned out quite well. But if ever Villa play Reading, I've always said, you know what, I'm supporting Reading, but if Villa need the points and Reading don't, I'll be happy either way. But I'd rather have the team that need the points more to win the game. But I'm a Reading fan. I'm all about the rules. We've got the stadium images all in the background, the old, the new, and the arty version. Not anymore. Now the Select Car
changed.
Leasing Stadium.
Oh, okay. But is it still the Majeski? They haven't replaced it, have they?
It's still the Majeski. We've just sold the naming rights.
Just sold the naming. Oh, I hate that. That's Southampton did that. I took the mick out of Southampton when they did that.
Yeah, we are just
Providence something stadium.
Just desperately trying to get ourselves out of financial fair play dodginess. So sell off everything. The players, the names, everything. So
I think a few teams are in this boat right now.
Yeah. I think there's conversations at the moment to say about changing it up so that it's not they take a year out of it based on COVID because there was no income from clubs and games and things like that. Some clubs are complaining about that. Some are saying, do you know what, that's the fair thing. The problem is the FA are taking so long to make a decision around it that it's causing issues in the transfer setup for other teams, for teams like Reading, because they can't do anything at the moment. So causing an issue. Had people on trial and we can't afford to sign them, or we're not allowed to sign them even on a free because of the financials that go with it. So
I think Rooney was saying something similar the other day. About can't sign any centre backs.
Yeah.
Just because of the situation that teams like Derby are in.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so first real memory of football was kind of the brightly coloured kits of World Cup in '94 and the Euros in '96 was the first major tournament, and the coin collections. Everybody loves a coin collection.
Do they still do it? I don't think they do it anymore, do they?
They do something along the lines. You get like it's all cards now, though, isn't it? All like match
probably digital
or
ones.
Something like that. Yeah,
match tags.
Yeah. Cool. So when playing, what was your position?
Yeah. I've never had a consistent position. I don't think I would maybe on the wing actually, but so I run a lot when I play football, even now, and so somewhere where I've got the space to run and just go because it's weird because I can run consistently and quite a lot. I can go at a reasonable pace, whereas people get tired a lot quicker. I can then run quicker than them. So I'm not necessarily the quickest, but I tend to be quicker than everyone else. If you ask me to sprint after I've been jogging for an hour, I can still do it. Whereas if you ask a lot of people just to sprint off the spot, I'll probably be slower than them. So it was always a good thing there that I could somewhere on the wing or somewhere at the wing backs or even up top sometimes. And so I never really had a consistent position because the most of the football I've been playing as I've got older has been 5-a-side and 7-a-side. So you've got to be a lot more fluid in 5-a-side. 5-a-side is what I play a lot of right now, except for the last year. And none of my shirts fit me anymore. But in 5-a-side, you got to be very fluid. You got 4 outfield players. You got a goalkeeper, and I hate. Okay, the one position I won't play is goalkeeper. I try and avoid it. This is why I like being able to run because everyone else uses the goalkeeper to have a rest. I'm like, no, I don't need a rest. Unless you want me to go in goal because no one else wants. I'll go. I won't be that person who never plays in goal.
Don't fake a handed. Oh, God, my wrist hurts.
I'll avoid it. Like I will try and avoid it. But, I really can't stand when people don't want to go in goal at all.
Point blank.
Like if it's your turn in goal, if it's my turn in goal, I'll go in. But I won't be first to volunteer either. I'll volunteer in the first couple of goes. So, when you're in 5-a-side, you've got to really rotate your positions. I normally find, I'm pretty always back defending, but when we're forward, I can always bomb forward as well. So it's it's never really a position. I think when I played as a kid, we played. I think I was put in defence on the wing backs when I was 5 or 6. I wasn't a big kid. So you don't want to get stuck in the middle of the park. And I remember I've got 2 memories of that from when I was a kid. The first one is and I was probably a substitute to be honest, because I also tried lots of sports. I did some rugby, I did some hockey. My dad was a hockey player rather than cricket as well. My dad was a hockey player. Rugby I did, but my problem with rugby was they played me as the hooker, and if anyone's, I don't know how much of an international audience you have, that's not what you think it is. So they played me as a hooker, but because of the age, you're not allowed to have scrums until you're X age. So they were training me as the hooker, and they were training me to play, but they were never going to, they couldn't play me in the game, or they couldn't play me as a hooker in the game, the position they'd be training me for like another year or so. So
yeah,
I got really annoyed and scrapped rugby.
Yeah.
Well, scrapped it temporarily. I actually came back to it when I was older. But in football, I remember I have two memories from when I was a kid. One was with the training and we're running around, and I saw on the floor a rock, right? This is a ridiculous story. A rock. It probably wasn't small. It was like, I mean, that's...
Yeah.
I don't know. This is great for your audio audience. How big could it be? A bite-sized Mars bar, right? The size of a bite-sized Mars bar.
Yeah.
And it was like quite square shaped, so it was interesting as a kid. And it had like some circles on it. So I picked it up. I was like, what is this thing? And I had a fossil in it. So I was like, right, is it like when you're, I don't know, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, like the football game became irrelevant then. I had this rock, all right. I put it in my sock. And this was probably only about the 10th minute of the match. This massive rock was sticking out from my ankle in my sock, probably under my shin pad. And I was trying to run around. I didn't want to tell anyone about it because I thought this could be worth some money. It's a fossil. It was just a trilobite or something, right? This could be worth something. It's a fossil. Because I remember, you'd seen Jurassic Park or whatever, and you think, yes, this big money. So I running around the pitch with this big rock in my sock, and I couldn't run very fast because it was scraping on my ankle or whatever. The coach is like, why are you running, Simon? You need to be run. I know you can run. And I didn't want to tell him that I've got a rock in my sock. So yeah, that was probably why I didn't get picked for many games, because I was too easily distracted. And then when we did play, we played against the local rivals. And I remember, I'm going to come back to the Mars bars, in fact, because I remember we were 4-0 down at half time against the local rivals.
Yeah.
And I think I was a sub, and he brought me on. And it wasn't anything to do with me coming on. I wasn't the catalyst for change here. But the catalyst for change was, he said, if you go on and win now, I will get you all a gift. So we went and we won 5-4 the game. So we had to come in the next. And he held his word. He came in the next training session. He had a big. I was amazed because I'd never seen a big box of Mars bars before. He came in with a big box of Mars bars. He obviously just gone to Costco, or whatever. Probably cost him a tenner. I thought he was the most generous coach in the world right then, because he gave everyone a Mars bar. He gave every player a Mars bar. He kept his word in the next training session. Yeah, so that was the playing as a kid.
I would have been the kid who sat there and went, "Is that it? It's a
yeah, I know.
It's a Mars bar, mate." Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When next time he says, "Come back from this, guys, and I'll get you all a gift," my response, "Not another Mars bar."
Well, I don't think he knew what to do, because he certainly did expect us to turn the game around. So he's like, now I've got to get them. Like, what's small enough that like kids won't care, but like big enough that
He probably picked it up on the way to the next game. He probably remembered driving to the next game and thought, I better pick something up. Almost like that. Oh God, I've forgotten the anniversary, and you got the petrol station flowers. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? I've got one other memory. I've just remembered this as well. Yeah.
So at the school we had like a special guest come in to train us for our evening training. My school wasn't very big. There were like I think there were 3 boys in my year group.
Wow.
So that'll give you a size. This is primary school, but that'll give you the size of the school. Only 2 of which played football. So when we played football, we'd have to play with the other year groups in our school team.
Yeah.
And I think the girls played as well, in fact. So we had a special guest come to train us one evening, and it was the Southampton Football Club academy director, I think, or one of their main youth coaches or something. And he came just for an evening to train us and stuff. And me being a Portsmouth fan and thinking, my mum's like, you got to do well while the Southampton goes down. I'm like, no, I'm not doing well. He's Southampton. And I was just like messing about the whole time, not playing well, not doing anything the Southampton guy said. And looking back, he was probably coming to scout us or something. And we just messed about the whole time because we were all Portsmouth fans. And we were like, no, we don't want to play for the Southampton man. You can go away. That could have been my big break. You never know. I could have been a professional footballer, but actually, no. We picked up some good tips from him and stuff. I don't think I'd ever been a professional.
I love that though. No, refusal, not doing it. Dirty Southampton.
I know, just thinking back and, you know, the opportunities you miss just from being a stubborn kid. He's decided he doesn't like Southampton and prefers Portsmouth. So I'm just pouring a drink.
It doesn't change though, does it? I've got one of the guys who regularly comes into the streams. I raided someone once, and this guy's an Arsenal fan. I raided someone once and he was doing a Tottenham save. And the guy from my went I'm off. Like,
you didn't even want to watch the Arsenal
I'm not watching a Tottenham stream. I'm done with that. So it doesn't just happen with kids. It happens with adults.
No. Actually, it happens. I'm big into my fantasy football now, and but I refused to sign Southampton players into my fantasy team, and it really stung me 2 years ago because Danny Ings went on a goal scoring spree.
Yeah,
but I refused to take a Southampton player in my team.
Yeah, to be fair though, there's not normally very many you want to have, is there?
It's not the last. I mean, that's why I did well last year because they were awful last year.
Yeah. Vestergaard you could probably get away with. James Ward-Prowse and maybe Ings, but
Ward-Prowse.
Injured, so yeah. But apart from that, they need him. Cool. Okay, if you could have done one thing to improve your ability as a footballer side, what would it have been?
Listen to the Southampton man. That would have been it. That would have been it. No, I don't know actually. I mean, I didn't really. Where I grew up in the countryside, and in the countryside, you don't get many opportunities. So I was literally playing football with the three kids who lived in my local area.
Yeah.
You know, I think one boy was my age. Well, actually, no, the four kids. So my brother, who's younger than me, one kid my age, and one older kid. And so we just play football. We go in the garden, we play football nearly every night, as long as it wasn't raining or whatever.
Yeah.
But we never really had the. You know, I jumped between sports a lot. So sticking with football would have been one thing. And it didn't really help that like where I lived and the jobs that my parents had, get into games or get into training was always a difficulty. So like when I went to secondary school, for example, I wanted to do football, but I couldn't. And I went to the first session, but I couldn't go to any after that because the job my parents had, they came back late from work. And we had a babysitter between when I got home from school and when I got back from work until we were a bit older. So we never really had I couldn't join the school team for football, which is what I wanted to do when I went to secondary school. I wanted to play football because I couldn't then get the school bus. There was no school bus to my village rural area after the game, because you know when you go to secondary school, if people that you move to a more central school, so that there then wasn't an option. I couldn't do after school football or anything. So I think that really made a difference. And by that point, I'd stopped playing like at the local club as well. I think the thing to improve my football ability would have been to have not given up when I wasn't. I used to get annoyed if I wasn't selected or I wasn't playing as much as I wanted. I used to get really annoyed. And then looking at me now when I play five-a-side and stuff, I'm not a bad player.
Mm-hmm.
And I've probably improved certain things as I've got older. You know, playing more and more five-a-side football and stuff.
Yeah. But
I'm definitely not. I'm not an amazing player. When I come up against some guys who used to be in academies and stuff, and they're amazing. Yeah. You're like, just like go away, go play a different game. So I think that must have been just a bit more commitment from me when I was younger.
Yeah.
To sticking with sports and sticking with anything. I just tried so many different things, and my parents encouraged that. And that's not a bad thing necessarily.
No.
Trying lots of things. So I don't want to say the chance of me being a professional footballer would probably be pretty slim. Yeah. And actually, what I wanted to play was hockey, like my dad. But my school didn't play hockey for boys. The first school I went to.
Yeah.
And then the second school I went to did, but by the time I got there, they were already, because I switched schools like when I was, 13, 14.
Yeah.
When I got there, they had already been playing for 4 years and I was like fresh, I'd missed 5, 6, 7 years. I'd literally just whatever I'd done with my dad. So I was, but a long way behind in basic skills, even if I knew sort of what I was doing and I could have had the technical skill to do it. Whereas the comparison point to that is my brother, who plays at a decent level even now. I think he plays for one of the decent London teams. So it's I think that's sort of where my footballing ability would have gone wrong.
it's hard to break into anything that's kind of already up and established. So yeah, but I know accessibility is kind of what you're sort of talking about there, and I think that's such a key thing. I mean, I was always lucky. I lived in the town centre of Reading. There were so many teams in and around where we were, and there was always a parent who was going to one of the games. It didn't necessarily, it was almost like a carpool. You know, they weren't driving miles out of the way to pick someone up. There'd always be a lift. My school was a 15-minute walk away. So, you know, games and things like that. So yeah, I completely get it. And I think for people living in rural areas, it's a nightmare. I mean, I can imagine living in Norfolk now. I can imagine how hard it must be for some of the people living out in the backwater areas here. It's absolute nightmare. But yeah, okay, cool.
Because parents have to be willing to give up like their whole weekend or whatever they're doing as well. And I mean, there are other things like that. You know, I wanted to go to soccer camp in the summer.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that soccer, it was some ridiculous price. So my parents, you know, and my parents went through varying, I don't want to go too much into my own background. Varying levels of wealth. You know, they've been quite well off sometimes and very not well off at other times. So, you know, at the times I wanted to go to the soccer camp, they really couldn't afford it. And I ended up just going to a cheaper, more general camp, which is probably good because I got to do things like climbing, kayaking, stuff like that. Fun activities that I enjoyed as a kid anyway. So and I think they were like, because it was a subsidized one or something, it was a lot better. Whereas the soccer schools that they used to advertise on telly or whatever, they were always so expensive for kids. And I feel bad for parents, like they're sort of pressured into these things. Well, I remember they used to be advertised. They were always advertised in the magazines, in fact. In the football magazines.
Match and shoot and 90 minutes.
It, match and shoot. And I don't know if any of them are still going. I was sort of looking for one the other week when I wanted a Euro wall chart, but they're all like £8 now.
Yeah,
they used to be like 50p.
Yeah, I remember those days. But yeah, I used to remember it was always advertised. The ones I used to see were the old school Bobby Charlton soccer academies. And you would pay, and you'd be there for like 2 weeks, and it would cost an extortionate amount of money. And Bobby Charlton would turn up one day to say hello to the kids and have photos taken. How is this Bobby Charlton soccer academy? Looking back now, you're like, how on earth? But equally at the time, you know, he was still sort of late 50s, early 60s, and it wasn't marketed at the kids. Soccer academy, soccer skills, soccer course, whatever, was marketed at the kids. Bobby Charlton was to draw the dads in and want to pay for it. And it was a brilliant marketing ploy, because the dads, I think Bobby Charlton would turn up on the last day when people were coming to kick the kids. So the dads would be like, my son.
Meet Bobby Charlton.
Yeah, my son had his photos taken with Bobby. Yeah, he's such a great guy. Whatever, mate. But yeah, it was all of that sort of thing. It was literally sort of a status thing for the parent as opposed to the kids. So a bit of a con to an extent. But cool. We shall move on to the Big Five. Question 5, the Big Five. What do you feel are the 5 key attributes to make the complete footballer?
5 attributes. This is the one I've not really, I didn't think too much about. The complete footballer.
Yeah. So covering any position.
Go on. Any position. Okay, right. If you go on and have them cover any position, they've got to have a core strength.
Yeah.
I think core strength goes a long way in football. You know, if you've got core strength, you can play the game. You can just get in people's way. You can. I think actually, if you pair that core strength and ball control, if you can pair those two, you're going to be a pretty formidable player. Like if you can hold the ball and hold off another player, that's all you need to do. It's not all you need to do. You need to do more than that. But I think with those two,
it's a good start though.
You could, like the first thing I always say when people come. So we have people come play five-a-side sometimes. And they've never played. Some of them never played football before because it's a work game. We allow anyone in. And sometimes we get people who they've not played football for a long time. So the first thing we say to do, is be an annoyance. Don't foul people, but be an annoyance, right? Stand in front of them. Stand in their way. Don't let them shoot. Chase them. put them under pressure. They don't care if you're a good player. I mean, if they're a good player and you're a bad player and they know it, maybe they'll try a skill or something, but they've still got to do that. So just be an annoyance, like use that physical presence. And if you've got some ball control as well when you're going forward, they know they can't just like steal the ball. If you haven't got any ball control, they'll just steal the ball off you.
Yeah, yeah.
If you haven't got ball control, if you have got ball control, you know, they know they can't just stick their foot out, take the ball and run off with it. Yeah. So I think those two, I'm doing it with my feet right now, which is, I say it's no good for the visual audio, the audio audience. It's no good for the visual audience either because no one can see me doing that.
You're just suddenly juddering around on the chair.
I know, it's like kicking. I'm going to kick my computer in a minute. So I think those two things are pretty important. Yeah. The ability to pass.
Yeah.
So, you know, to place a pass. I think passing is more important than shooting because if you can pass it into the net. Yep.
100%.
You can use the inside of your foot and pass the ball into the net. So I think that's got to be up there with the physical attributes and the ball control.
Yeah.
And then I would have to start some mental attributes. So I think decision making the right decision at the right time and not hesitating particularly when under pressure.
Yeah.
You know, being cool under pressure and not dwelling on mistakes. Dwelling on mistakes can be very, very annoying. So having the right mental fortitude and decision making to make the right decisions at the right time. So I guess that's decision making. Like, you know, if we're talking about this in Football Manager terms, that's a combination of decision making and composure.
Yeah.
But I think that's sort of an area that you need some kind of ability in.
Yeah.
So I think if you because also, you know, another thing is I see a lot of times people make poor decisions, but they make them at the wrong time. So and the number five, this is particularly an annoyance of mine in five-a-side football, is players who are used to playing striker or something in 11-a-side.
Yeah.
They'll try and take players, if they're coming from the back, they'll try and take players on, but they don't ever consider that they're the last man in a five-a-side game. In an 11-a-side game, if you play striker as an 11-a-side game, you're very unlikely to be the last man.
Yeah.
You know, you've got your midfield, your defense, and everyone behind you. But in five-a-side, you're the last man. And not only that, you haven't really got time. If you lose it there, you haven't really got time to recover because the pitch is shorter and they're through and they're in on goal already, and the goal's been scored, and it's too late. So that I mean, that's a real bugbear of mine in five-a-side football. Anyone who tries to take on their man when they're the last player, it almost always goes wrong. I always prey on defenders who do that because I'm like, I'm just going to go in and put them under pressure. They'll lose the ball to me 5 out of 6 times. Yeah. One more attribute. Let's have a think. What's got to be like a confidence?
Confidence, yeah.
Confidence,
cool.
Yeah. And I think this is, you know, if you haven't got confidence. I noticed this is the difference between a lot of people I play with. If they've got confidence, they'll do a lot more with the ball. I haven't got a lot of confidence with the ball, and that sort of relates into decision making and the composure side of decision making. If you haven't got the confidence you can do something, you're less likely to try it. And also, you know, you can affect you negatively. And your willingness to want to play particularly when you're younger. Your willingness to want to try things, to play and stuff. And if your manager decides you're a substitute, to have the confidence to say, "Fuck, that's fine. You know, when I'm going to come on, I'm going to play the best I can."
Yeah.
And even if then he still doesn't select you the next game, because even if you think you've had an amazing game, even if then he doesn't select you the next game, to have the confidence to keep going, to keep trying. I guess that's a combination of confidence and perseverance. Yeah. So that's got to be the other thing.
Yeah, I think there's some key ones in there. I mean, the core strength, I think we've had maybe 1 or 2 people say that, but it's not been a key one. But I think the core strength is massive because that gives you a little bit of everything. It gives you that strength to hold the ball up, like you were saying. But it also, the core strength helps you go. It helps with your endurance and your stamina.
Yep.
And your stamina and your endurance help with your work rate. So, you know, I think where you've looked here and you've picked out these 5, I think these 5 are ones that all of them lead in to other things, which is essentially what you want. The ball control and first touch.
Foundations.
Yeah, exactly. The ball control and the first touch. Do you know what? So many times we've had the conversation with everyone that's been on here that's picked it. I think you're the 3rd or 4th person that's picked that. If you can't control the ball, what the hell are you playing football for?
Exactly.
Or at least in a competitive environment, you know. Because
everyone should be able to play football, but
exactly. And if you're playing five-a-side, it's even worse, because if every time the ball comes into you and it just bounces off every time, you're going to be putting your team into problems. The passing, like you said, I completely agree. If you can pass the ball 5 yards, 10 yards, 20 yards, you should be able to shoot from 5 yards, 10 yards, 20 yards. If you can pass the ball with your inside outside of your boot, drilled passes, you should be able to basically strike a ball well anywhere. And the decision making, like you say, the amount of times people make bad decisions in football, where or they don't. Even worse than a bad decision is not making the decision and dwelling on the ball and getting caught that way. Because that way, at least if you make a bad decision and you pick the wrong pass, you've made the wrong decision. At least there is a process of thought of what you're trying to do. If you get caught on the ball, you've not even thought about it. You know, you've just basically given up. Your brain's just shut down. Yeah, exactly. And the confidence is key. And I think that's just in general life. If you can gain that confidence on a football pitch, it will help you with everything you do. I say that. Do you know what? I blag a lot of my confidence, but on a football pitch, I'm very confident with it. I'm not so much.
I think a lot of people do.
Yeah, but I think
confidence is a sort of a mindset rather than a. I don't think many people have natural confidence. I think back to my day job, and I really struggle in some conversations with people in real life. Like I don't have the confidence to go talk to someone, right? Yeah. But then I stream on Twitch, or in my day job, I get up in front of 100 people and give talks every day. Yeah. But I can't pick up a phone to talk to someone. So you got to trick your mind with confidence a lot of times.
Yes, 100%.
And you'll start feeling more comfortable with things.
Yeah, and I think with football, the more you practice, the more confident you will become. And it's like you said, using the right environment to try things. And I think training is the perfect example where you want to try little tricks and flicks and things like that. You don't want to be doing them in a game, because if you don't want to be the person who's made the mistake because you tried something new. In a training session, that's where you do that sort of thing, and you do it until you feel comfortable to do it, and it builds the confidence. And it's key. It is key.
Certainly, yeah.
Guys and girls, that is it. Go on.
No, I was going to pick up on the core strength thing. I was just going to say, you were finishing up, but like Messi. So I mean, there's a reason they injected him full of steroids and testosterone and whatever they injected him with, because that's the one he was missing. The strength needed to be a footballer. Even now, he doesn't do the defensive capabilities of a footballer. He does all the attacking capabilities. Yeah, but they put him that way because. That's a fundamental core to a footballer. Yeah,
his centre of balance because of it is so phenomenal, and that's the key part of it. He gets buffeted around, but he doesn't seem to fall over very often. I mean, when you look at the size of someone like Sergio Busquets, who spends half his time on the floor crying, and then you look at Messi being buffeted around, and he's on his feet. He's on the floor when he physically cannot stand up because his centre of gravity is so good. But yes, guys and girls, that is it. We are done, the big five and the other four. So a total of 5, but then the big 5 with Si complete. Guys and girls, if you haven't already, as we say, go and catch Si streaming rather late most of the time with a bit of Palermo or a little bit of competitive GeoGuesser, as we said earlier. You will also catch Si on the inaugural Down the Local FM Draft Season 1 Group A as co-host with me, doing the rundown on the people in there and seeing who will progress. That's on Monday the 2nd. So this will be going out on Wednesday. If you're watching it on YouTube, depends when you watch it. But Monday the 2nd of August is the time to catch us on that. Until then, Si, it has been a pleasure, my man. Thank you very much for your time today. Much.
No, cheers for chat. I haven't thought about many of these questions for a long time, so it's been good to chat about them.
Love a bit of nostalgia. Cheers.